doesn't have the time to do that. What's that? Yeah. My aunt.
You guys good?
I'm good.
I call to order the June 26, 2024 meeting of the Leechburg Area School Board. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Roll call, please. Here.
Mr. Gunmeyer?
Here.
Mrs. Knight? Here. Mr. Leffish?
Here.
Mr. Lovely? Here. Mr. Matson?
Here.
Mr. Paulus?
Here.
Ms. Stewart? Mr. Townsend?
Thank you. An executive session was held on June 26, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. to discuss personnel, legal issues, and contracts. Our student representative report, Connor Duff and Chloe Zemansky.
Good evening, school board. I only really have two things for you today. So the Leechburg Minotaurs, or the Yearbook Club, has officially finished our 2023-24 yearbook. The theme of this year's was DIY, make your year your own. And it's kind of a scrapbook theme. So the distribution dates are yet to be announced, but yeah, we just completed it, and I think it's really good. Later this summer, on July 28th, from 12 to 9 p.m., Vandergrift will be hosting their Vandergrift Art Fest with the theme of Forever Neverland. Some of our drama club members will be participating in the festival, including myself. There will be live performances, characters in costume. There's a bunch of food vendors, food trucks. There's stuff for children there. There's just a lot there. It's a really good event for the community as a whole. I think it's a really nice event, and it'd be nice to see you guys there. So yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an agenda item added, disposal of equipment and for the sociology textbooks, and also several use of facilities requests. These are agenda items added since the last meeting. The district solicitor, the Killian Heights service agreement, the Comcast business agreement, and resignation of employee number 164. I'm going to stop there. Any questions or discussion on any of those? Item 4.7 is also added, the Go Secure agreement. 4.8, resignation of employee 829. Item 4.9, the interim business manager. The 24-25 elementary handbook, the 24-25 middle and high school handbook. Any questions or discussion on any of those items?
Yeah, I do have a question. I saw that the middle school or the elementary one there's a couple of changes in there. I saw them highlighted. I did not see as many highlights in the high school. Was stuff changed in the high school, or was that normally kept the same? I didn't know. Okay.
We're transitioning over. Mr. Barber looked at it, and some of the stuff that we didn't change. The only major change that went in the code is the electronic device policy that we put in there.
Okay, thanks.
Item 412, the 24-25 AIU Title III Consortium MOU, Western PA School for the Deaf Extended School Year Agreement, Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission Student Assistance Program Agreement. Any discussion on any of those items? The 24-25 Butler County Head Start MOU, the 24-25 Pre-K Counts Partnership Agreement, amendment to policy number 237. Do we have any discussion on any of those items? The technology contract, the 24 through 27 Leechburg Area School District Comprehensive Plan. Any discussion? I'll say something. I just want to thank the committee and Dr. Keebler for working through and making this a plan that we can truly use to be a roadmap for the next several years for our school district. And I just appreciate all the time that everybody put into this. Whenever we collaborate on something like this, I just think the end product was extremely meaningful, and it will be very useful to us in terms of moving forward and also marketing the great things that our school district is doing. So thank you to everybody involved with that.
And I second that off, that the committee was there to really make a plan for our district over the next 3 years. It was a combination. Our last comprehensive plan was trying to pick specific pieces. So a prime example would be fourth grade, we look at ELA scores, what can we do? I run more broad because as our new team comes in, as we turn the page into July, we have new administration of both central office, elementary, and high school. It's going to be a yearly review of what we're doing with those pieces. So we're looking at curriculum, we're looking at our resources as teachers, we're looking at how we maximize the teacher's ability to understand it and go on, along with the piece of how to put interventions in place. And we're looking at tier 1, 2, and 3 interventions, K to 12. So we lost out on some offerings that we were doing for remediation at the junior high and high school. That has to come back. So we want that to be a focus of our comprehensive plan, so that we're continuously reviewing that. How do we offer more for the kids if we can? And it really comes down to what does the data show us? What does it show what our needs are? And I would get to be a continuous focus of what we're doing over the next 3 years. And that will then go back. We used a lot of the information as part of our strategic plan. You'll hear us as we come through in July. We're looking to finalize the strategic plan, which then goes into facilities, technology, all those other things for what our district's looking at. This is more just what we're looking at in the educational setting for that moving forward.
And we essentially rewrote that strategic plan and pulled the committee together. We did that over a pretty short period of time, and I think the result was really good. And we conducted, as a school district, the first survey we've done in maybe 10 years. Yeah. And so we got some, when we talk about using data to support the decisions that we're making and the things that we choose to include, that was really valuable data, just understanding the perspectives of our stakeholders, of our taxpayers, of our residents. Nobody's asked them how they feel about things for a long time. So we appreciated everybody's feedback on that. And I think we plan to do a follow-up in a few months and see, how some of the things we're implementing are being received. Item 4.2, anybody have anything else on that? I'm sorry. Item 4.20, substitute custodian. Item 4.21, transportation secretary. 4.22, the resignation of employee 918. Public comment on agenda items. We have 2. Anna Bauer.
Hello, I'm Anna Bauer. I would like to address the board regarding the seemingly overlooked issue of the math specialist position being cut. Presumably, this was done for budgeting reasons due to the grant for this position ending. Considering that during the meeting of February 5th, elementary math teachers collectively advocated for retaining the position of the K through 5 math intervention specialist position, citing the many benefits for the students that continuing this position would offer. I will not have time to go over every teacher statement from that meeting, but I will share one statement from the kindergarten teacher. They're referencing Mrs. Heasley, the math intervention specialist. She has been able to help me fill those gaps to the best of her ability and provide the additional support that I could not always give in our classroom. She has pulled students and helped tirelessly in the mornings. Keep in mind, she's K through 5, but she always makes sure she's not doing this during our core instructional time. She works with those students, and I can't always do that in a large classroom setting. Whole class instruction is great, but let's be honest, the smaller the better. This particular person, who is our current math interventionist, has built the students' confidence. That makes a major difference in student participation and willingness to try, even if they are not always correct in their answers. We, the kindergarten group, can truly say we have benefited from Mrs. Heasley, and it would be a disservice to take this position away for all parties involved, the administrators, teachers, parents, and especially the students. She is needed and much appreciated. This is just a small portion of what was expressed to you at the meeting of February 5th, pleading for the position to be retained. There was no shortage of good examples from our K through 5 math teachers. I have audio recording of that entire meeting, as this was before meetings started being live streamed. So if you would like to listen to it in full, I am happy to email it. It is clear that this position was vital to our children's academic well-being. Mrs. Heasley is one of the reasons we are a blue ribbon school. and considering that money was able to be allocated for a what is now understood to be unlawful tax rebate for West Leechburg and would have cost roughly the same amount, I would like to propose that the board reconsiders the cutting of this position and use these funds to reinstate the math interventionist position. What better way to spend it than investing in our students' academic well-being and confidence, as well as benefits to teachers through collaborative teamwork and support. I would also like to point out that in the letter addressed only to West Leechburg residents from Dr. Keebler, under point number 3, our district tried to help residents of West Leechburg by adding money to the district budget to reverse these increases. However, the district has been threatened with litigation, so assistance is no longer an option. If this is referring to Mr. Pascal's statement to make the board aware that the tax rebate was unconstitutional and thus saving them from expending more funds on legal representation, then the board should in fact be thanking Mr. Pascal for saving them money, not villainizing him. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead if you had something.
I'd love to address it right now for both those parts, Ms. Bauer. So first off, my question to you, and I know you've heard you for the last couple of months of a position being cut. Can you tell me who cut the position? Because the position has not been cut. And I can tell you firsthand, I've met with Ms. Heasley, kindergarten, first grade, still has her doing the same services. So we've talked with them. I'm in charge of the budget to make sure I do what's financially right for the district. I will make that call in August once I see if we have anybody added. So we did not cut any position that was going on. Ms. Heasley, I met with the representatives of their union on that, with what my plan is for that. Unfortunately, it's not my job to keep putting stuff out without being certain of what's happening. So in August, we'll have that final decision of what that math specialist looks like. It may be Ms. Heasley, it may be someone else, it may have other pieces. There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. But it has not been cut by no more. We did not leave it out by itself, but it's a hybrid position of what we created to first address K1. In July, we'll start looking at data to see where it was valuable and what other pieces we can add. So I will update that in August.
As long as it's being done, because we really want to retain that position.
Yeah, but believe me, I mean, I've been with the elementary teachers for 8 years. I've talked with them.
And that's
I
why
was,
we just couldn't believe that, like, they begged for this. It was
Yeah.
really important, so we just wanted to.
and it's the last thing I would do coming in, cutting pieces as we look at that. Like I said, I have ideas. But as we always look at that, we could have 3 students move in July that cost us $500,000 that we have to place out. And it's my responsibility to make sure we have our funding where it's at before I add anything with where it was. I do value the position 1,000% on that. And like I said, we do have a plan right now guaranteeing K and 1 is getting that. We're looking at how do we get it the way up to 5th grade. So as that comes out in August, I will address that.
Mr. Pascal.
Thank you, Chuck Pascal from Leechburg. And before I say what I'm saying, thank you for clarifying that, because I think, part of the problem there has been a lack of information, and therefore people may make assumptions or take things from a context that makes sense to them, and a little bit more communication is good. So that's.
I'm saying, just you, Mr. Pascal, my board is always open. If anybody has a question with that, please come meet with me. I would love to go over those pieces. It's not something that I said I wouldn't address it in public because I do have a plan for it. I just don't want to make sure we are able to do what I'm going to do with it.
Right. So what I wanted to say was there was, and I addressed this with Dr. Keebler earlier when we met at some point with him and Mr. Paulus about a different issue. But so there was a Facebook post from a member of the West Leechburg community indicating that after he met with Dr. Keebler and whoever else, that he understood now that STEB was the enemy. And I will just have to say, STEB is not an enemy. The STEB is a governmental agency that is operating under statute to do what it is that they are legally required to do. Public workers are not enemies. Public workers are public servants. Now, I'm not saying that you said that, but I'm saying that whatever.
I said it, right back here,
I understand you said it. Public workers are not enemies.
to be there. These guys are.
People who do their job under a statute and follow the law are not enemies.
Talk to me over taxes go up 11%. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that if you'll just be quiet a minute. Now, who the enemies are are those public servants who do not do their jobs. And the public servants who do not do their jobs are the county commissioners of Westmoreland County and the county commissioners of Armstrong County. Westmoreland County assessment is on a predetermined ratio of 100%. They're currently at 10, and they haven't reassessed since 1973. Now, while the Armstrong County assessments seem to be more accurate in terms of the common level ratio, the coefficient of dispersion and the price-related differential show that those assessments are also inaccurate in a different way. Now, because they have not reassessed is what's causing this problem, as I have said over and over again. Now, to sit here as a member of the public or as a board and yell into the wind doesn't solve the problem. Last 2 session weeks in Harrisburg, I've been up there on other things, but in addition to what I've been up there for, I have talked to the majority chair of the Education Committee, the minority chair of the Education Committee in the House, other legislators who have an interest in this issue. I've talked to the majority leader of the Senate and his council on education issues. I've talked to education interest groups. I've talked to the executive director of STEB and about this issue. And I will tell you that this issue is on nobody's radar, and I will tell you that nobody understands it. Okay? Everybody understands what the problem is, but nobody understands the actual issue. And this is through discussions that I've had over the past 2 session weeks, which is this week, and I just got back from Harrisburg, and 2 weeks ago. Now, I will give you credit for preserving your rights to talk to, address the various issues in the 2022-23 STEB calculation by, possible anomalies and things that should be considered or things that shouldn't be considered in that calculation. But we all know that whatever we do there is going to be marginal. It's not going to solve the problem. It's going to be marginal or whatever. Our job, your job, is to educate the public as to the real problem, right? STEB is not the problem. STEB is a administrative agency who can only calculate what they calculate based on the information given to them by the counties. If what the counties give them is inaccurate, based on assessments that are antiquated and based on data that is inaccurate, you will get an inaccurate result every time.
Mr. Pascal, you're at 5 minutes. Are you nearly finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, I'll let you continue.
So all I'm getting at is the way to do this is to actually bring the issue to the legislature, inform the legislature, which I've been trying to do. And I'll say one more thing. The PASBO proposal that this board passed a resolution in favor of, and which I've seen draft legislation for, is setting up every district that chooses it to be sued. And I've conveyed that message to the legislature. And everybody agrees with me, by the way, after they read it, that it's unconstitutional. So let's try to find a different solution, not an unconstitutional easy one, but one that actually solves the problem.
Mr. Pascal, I have a question for you. Mr. Pascal, I have a question. Just refresh my memory. When did that board vote on that resolution, the PASBO resolution?
Last year.
So was it this physical board that's
Yes.
currently sitting in the seat?
Well, yeah,
Or was it the previous board? Because I know,
it was the previous board, but you voted for it.
thank you. That's all. So it was not these people, not all of these people sitting here. Some people were not on this board at that time.
Right, but I mean, it was this
That's-
board.
And what are we
You
up
said-
to on
you
the
said-
number
you
of
said
school
this board,
districts
that's
that
why
have?
I just wanted to clarify there.
It was the resolution in support of amending 672.1 to allow for lack of a better way to put it, to allow school boards the option to ignore the STEP calculation in setting tax rates. The language makes no sense to me, but basically that's what it does.
I remember what it was. I just don't remember when we voted on it.
Right.
So, thank you.
And Mr. Pasquale, I'll address part of that, just going back to it as well. And first off, thank you for coming in. And, you know, as I said last week, my door's open. I respectfully ask you to let me work on these things just as I'm talking there, my board update this week. As we go through this process, I've learned a lot. Over the last 2 weeks, I've learned more as I dig into it. There's partially of STEB, you're saying they're following that. And you're 100% right, as I told you last week. Our next approach as a board is going after Westmoreland County. We will take what we need to do to try to force a reassessment from the district side. And our next step then after that is talking with those other schools in STEB and trying to take some legal action against PDE. They're the ones who are mandating STEB use that formula, that our budget use the STEB formula. If that wasn't mandated, that's the legal side that would on there. We are working on that.
Well, it's mandated by statute. So.
By statute of the legislation, yeah,
Right.
that goes back. As we go through our update in West Leechburg, we're going to continue that. We are putting invitations out to every county commissioner for Westmoreland County, Allegheny, or Armstrong County. We're inviting our politicians that are part of our sector here, as well as Renee Reynolds from STEB, to try to get everybody on board. Ultimately, we have to fix it. As we go through our budget this year, nobody can take over a 6-year period a 30 mil difference on what they're doing with that. So I agree with you. We are working on it. So I'm asking, and I know each month we come up, everybody's having, let's talk, because you have information I can use. I think we've done stuff that you're unaware of with that. We can work together to make that work on that part of it to get to what we need to resolve.
And as I told you, I offered my help in any way I can do that. I'm talking to legislators, and but my thing right now is, let's not pass that STEB proposal because that's setting up districts to be sued. I really believe that. And I mean, I may make a lot of money out of that, but it's not the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Could I bring something up?
Sure.
We keep talking about STEB, but are we talking about any other way to go get, like, to combat the money that we're spending outside of our district, like cyber charter?
That is part of the budget as well.
$304,600 going to, and we had this discussion of whether the kids pass a class or attend a class, we still pay for it. So is there a way that we, as a board, could advocate for that bill? And maybe some way, because we're combating STEB. And STEB is costing us, how much is it for West Leechburg? Was it 60-some thousand? 304,000 for cyber charter kids outside of this building? That's not using the ones that we currently have, right? But like, we had a discussion that none of them have a consistent pricing. None of them have consistent attendance, but we still pay for it. Is there something we can do to combat that as a board?
You're 100% right. So as a start, hopefully we'll see what comes out of the state budget, because they did put some numbers in there that will lessen that. But to follow up with that, and we haven't received the transcript. I was at a hearing for a cyber student who spent a couple of days in our district that we paid $10,000 for because they kept billing us. And on transcript, I'm not going to put the charter school out there until we get the transcript and we can legally go at it. They made the statement they never called. The kid had an IEP. They never did an IEP meeting. They never followed anything. The kid didn't attend classes, failed every class. I have it on transcript that they said in the middle of a hearing with that. So we will be proceeding with that to try to get some of that money back. You're 100% right. And that's something that impacts not only our residents of the whole state.
Yeah, when I was on here before, when I was the PSBA liaison, I advocated constantly for the bill that was, fighting the voucher program for cyber charter. So and I'm still, I'm doing that through PSBA. So I was just, maybe we could all do that.
I'll work with you on that. I'll share with you what we have.
Okay.
And that's going to be probably July and August that we have a chance to go after that. First, we're going to get our money back that we paid them.
Right.
Separate, it's a bigger issue.
Yeah, I think 300,000 is a lot more than 60.
If you would heard what they said on the tapes.
I got that, I got a test.
You sure did.
Yes.
So I'm going to say, yeah, to you, it may be $60,000, or to the board, the way that you're perceiving it, but there are individual taxpayers in West Leechburg. Some of them are getting no tax increase, very little, but there are several people, probably, I'm guessing 10 to 12, that are seeing an over $500 school tax increase.
I'm not saying we shouldn't do either, I'm saying we should do both. That's what I'm saying. We should do cyber charter reform and do the process that's going through the step. And what would that do for total for all of it?
And ultimately, if we can look at that and work on a budget, that's where we load the taxes for everybody. That's my
Right.
goal for the next couple of
Right.
years.
Yeah, the regulation on cyber charter is like how one thing, you could pay 25,000 per kid for one and 15,000 a kid for another. Why there's no regulation of price when it comes to cyber charter schools, I don't understand. And like I said, the accountability for a kid attending or failing, we still pay for it, whether they pass, fail, or even attend.
It's a common refrain among all of our school districts.
Correct.
Every district is fighting that very battle to have that changed. And we've got districts that are paying out millions for charter schools.
Right, what I'm saying is
So
this
much
board
so-
is not addressing that, we're only addressing STEP as the number one thing all the time, when they should both be being addressed at all times.
But we have a lot of senior citizens, they don't realize that we're paying for that.
It
Yeah,
is-
for
it comes-
$300,000 for how many kids? 33?
It comes to a shock to a lot of your residents when they actually see that. I mean, some school districts have even created a position that are essentially retainment and recruiting, where they're getting those kids back into the school district.
Right.
And they're paying for themselves by not having to pay out for that.
I mean, we have our own cyber school.
Especially
It's a lot cheaper than outsourcing somewhere else. But everybody sees these ads on TV saying they're free, they're free. No, it comes out of taxpayer money. They're not, just because you're not paying direct tuition doesn't mean the whole community isn't paying for it.
And our cost per student to educate in-house in Leechburg for just brick and mortar and for cyber, our in-house cyber, what are those two numbers?
1,500 for the year per student.
Is for the in-house cyber charter. What about students that attend brick and mortar? Is it 12,000? 15,000.
For regular ed,
Mhm.
it's 30, almost 36,000 for special ed.
Right. And then we're saying, when we take that 34 kids that attend a cyber charter, it's about 9,000 per
You have
student.
schools like PA Cyber that are charging like 25,000 per kid. So that's what I mean by they're all choosing their own
Mhm.
price for their cyber charter. Why there isn't a set across the board, I understand that each school district individually may charge different, but in ours it's like 15,000, but it shouldn't be I think that it shouldn't be, because they're the same, they should have the same accreditation, right?
The question you want to see is what's making up that rate? Why is it different? Are they offering something that is
Mhm.
substantially different than what you may be offering? Because then there might be a price difference, but we don't know. 'Cause
Right.
there's no standards to it. It is your exact one.
And also there's accountability if a child doesn't come to school here.
Truancy.
Right.
Absolutely, all of
But
it.
if they don't go cyber, if they don't show up for cyber, there's no accountability. So that's what I mean, push for things like change in that sort.
No, we got, and I've had, we
Right.
had multiple people in the last 4 months over that exact piece. Going into the budget, that's more legislation that has to be passed. And the bottom line on that is they're collecting all this high fees so they can dump that money back to the president.
Right, I would just like that to be highlighted with STEP also. as a
I mean, that's
board.
100%, they're, all the politicians are getting their funding.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you. Aaron, IU and report, Mrs. Stewart is not here. Lenape report?
We had this school board meeting at Lenape. We had an executive session. We talked about fire drills, emergency drills, security, safety drills, evacuations, harassment and bullying, OSHA, school-based therapy, threat assessments, and building upgrade strategies.
Thank you.
Can I add to that for the building upgrade? Wes did call down. I talked to him after that meeting. He plans to come down in September just to present to the board. We wanted everybody to know they're not moving forward with anything right now. They were asked to be able to look at what options they would do if they added new programs, added more space to it. It was like a $45 million bill. He wanted to make sure everybody's aware. He'll come down and explain the introductory of what they were looking at with that, but there have been no decisions made on that.
And there will be new student orientation July 8th, 9th, and 10th. The next board meeting there will be on the August 8th. And school eventually will begin on August 19th.
Thank you. Armstrong County Tax Collection Committee report. That's me. There has been no meeting. The PSBA member liaison report, Mr. Paulos.
Thank you. So the PSBA liaison report for this month is they give out a report every Monday. They release more information about PSBA, what they're working on, what they're advocating for, and a couple of the highlighted points here that I have from the last couple of weeks since we haven't had a meeting. There's a few days left for board members to submit proposals for the 2025 legislative platform. This is essentially what Melanie was referring to and how she was advocating on behalf of to PSBA to kind of do things at the legislative level. So there's still time that board members can submit on my PSBA. And this essentially goes, what do you want PSBA to fight for this upcoming legislative year for the state budget, whether it be to change laws specifically for cyber charter or for better equalization funding, something like that. So there's a whole slew of different topics that they're adapted to say and fight for. So if you just go onto PSBA, there's a link on there that you can go fill out the survey. It's vital that we put that down. It's also vital that we put not only the cyber charter schools, also STEB as well. The more attention we can bring to this, the faster we can get to a solution. You have until June 28th to do that. So a couple more days. It's on my PSBA. Second, district employees and board members can now earn a cyber risk oversight for public education certification through PSBA. There is directions on PSBA how to sign up for that. Essentially, it's just evaluating the cyber risk oversight, and then specifically in public education, because we've been seeing more recently people attacking cyberly, if that's a correct word, schools, because they're more vulnerable because they don't have the funding to keep up with everybody else in the world. So we can go through that on my PSBA. Board members can continue to take micro courses in board topics, whether it be personnel evaluations, budget processes, committee meetings, stuff like that. There's micro courses on my PSBA, and there are many new webinars that the board members can watch on my PSBA as well, including budget talks, the monthly exchange, and the state budget talks. They highlight different points from PSBA. Again, this is all on your mypsba.org. Go on there, and you should also be doing your trainings if you haven't completed your trainings just yet. I know there were some kerfuffles in the past with trying to get on to do that. So if you have any questions about that, let me know.
Thank you.
Can I add that if you sign into your PSBA as board members, there are sometimes like pre-written that you can add to ways to reach out to legislators for things that we are fighting for. There are links for that on there. That's how I did it like a lot when I started to, again, now that I've had access to everything since I was not able to get in there for a while, but I worked that out.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks.
A motion is needed to approve the FMLA leave request for employee 790 as submitted.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion is needed to approve the 24-25 athletic supplementals as submitted pending successful completion of all required paperwork and clearances. Andrew McDermott, boys basketball varsity head coach, and Andre Carter, girls basketball varsity head coach.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to accept the resignation of employee number 867 as submitted.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to recognize tenure status for Leanne Zalanka.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Congratulations.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to rescind the hiring of Debbie Young as science department head for the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve Nicole Silvis as the 24-25 Science Department Head as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the change for Casey Bortz from part-time paraprofessional to full-time paraprofessional beginning in the 24-25 school year at a rate of $14.50 an hour and entitled to all their terms and conditions per the current Leechburg Educational Support Personnel Association collective bargaining agreement.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Can I just make a statement on that? This was a position that when we moved the one position that was grant funded back in due to the timing of the school year, it bumped people back, but all intentions, had this happened 4 weeks ago, it would have been a transfer of duties with that. It's one of our elementary paras who will now be a high school para on that part with it, just to be clear of what happened with those positions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to hire the following game day workers for the 24-25 school year pending successful completion of all required paperwork and clearances.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to accept the resignation of employee number 164 as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to accept the resignation of employee number 829 as submitted.
So
So,
moved.
second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve Dave Seropian as the interim business manager as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to hire Michael Dombrowski as a substitute custodian at the starting salary as defined in the SEIU bargaining agreement, pending successful completion of all required paperwork and clearances.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve Amy Nolf as the transportation secretary at a stipend of $4,500 effective July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sure. We need a motion to table the next agenda item, which is the resignation of employee number 918.
Motion to table.
Second.
Discussion. This is a personnel matter, so if we have additional questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the general fund operating budget and related schedules for the 24-25 school year in the amount of $16,465,189 as submitted. And we need a motion for this and a second, and then this will be a roll call vote. We will have some time for discussion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, thoughts on this? Any comments on it?
The only thing that I have to say is, yes, the budget has to pass. It has to pass by June 30th of every year. That's state law. And I want West Leechburg residents to know that we will continue to still fight for you for the years to come. I'm not speaking for anyone else but myself. I can tell you I will continue to fight for you. I have people who live in West Leechburg that are relatives, friends, neighbors, everything. So I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm sure they would say the same. We will continue to fight for you, and we will. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to say a few things on the West Leechburg situation as well. I hope that the public can see this. It was said that this was a campaign promise. I don't know that I promised anything other than to look into this and make sure that taxation is fair. I think the stub rebalancing requirement violates the uniformity clause. And at this point, we don't know whether a rebate option would or would not violate the uniformity clause. That would only be determined in a court. We don't want to go there. We don't have to pass the budget, but if we don't pass the budget, the state will come in and we won't be able to provide education for students. So with that said, I hope that particularly the people in West Leechburg, but the entire school district can see that I'm committed to not a campaign promise, but due diligence in looking into this. Mr. Pascal made the comment that nobody understands STEP. I feel that Dr. Keebler and I have spent hours, weeks studying this. We've traveled to Harrisburg. We've engaged in research. We've been talking to a lot of the same people you've been talking to, Mr. Pascal. So at this point, I do feel confident that I understand it. And you've also said to me before, as you said tonight, that we have a duty to educate the public. With that said, we are going to be offering a town hall where we're going to spend some time learning more together about how this impacts people and explaining everything that we know so that we can take action and make some change. We do understand it. And so I see it as my obligation to educate the public. So please join us on July 25th if you're interested in a further discussion on this. And I agree with Mr. Pellis. Together, we're going to find a solution. It may not look the way that we initially thought, but the only reason I'm comfortable with this budget is because we are going to move forward and we are committing resources and time. And I'm going to continue to give my time to figuring this out and challenging the STEB requirement. So now we finally developed a path together to address this issue. And I will say that this is the first board that has taken the time to delve into this and examine it. We had to learn STEB ourselves because previous administration didn't educate us on it. I don't know that they fully understood it. So that's where we stand. And we're committed to finding a solution to this. Or I'm speaking for myself. I am. And I thank you.
Something else I just wanted to mention, the town hall meeting, everybody is welcome to attend. We're inviting anyone that wants to be there. I mean, it's going to be at the fire hall, so there'll be plenty of room to accommodate anyone that wants to go there. So I know I know the letter was specifically addressed to West Leechburg. It was only, I don't know, I can't explain why it was only sent to West Leechburg, but everybody is welcome to attend that meeting. I want to make that clear.
Well, I can address that.
We should have town halls in each community.
That's where I was just going. That is the plan of the future, that
We put that out now.
we can put them out for Leechburg.
And there's gonna be another,
Yes, we need to get dates out, the community needs involved, not everybody can show up here on a Wednesday night, but we have board meetings, and that's not going to give other opportunities to hear the community, just like we did our survey this year, we need to know, and this is the platform to come and talk right now, we need to offer more platforms to be able to hear the community, so we can continue to address how we're offering the education, and first and foremost, our purpose here is to make sure we're educating our kids to the maximum potential. All these other pieces go with that. But the second piece is we have to be fiscally responsible while we do that. So we continue to maximize with what we get. That's what makes a small school great, is being able to do that. But we will continue to dig into it and set that up in each community so that everybody's.
so on the 25th, we should have the dates to meet at Gilson Bar Hall, and Leechburg Bar Hall.
Same there, we can.
No, we have the first one, the
Yes.
25th.
We can do it in August and Leechburg as
We
well.
will say there's gonna be another one in
Yep.
Leechburg Park Hall, and this day, there's gonna be another one in Gilpin Park Hall.
Yep, no, I'll take care of that.
Excellent. I think it's a great idea.
And I did have just one more question on the budget, Ms. Settinger. And I'm just still trying to wrap my brain around one thing. So are we putting money back into the fund balance this year at the end of the year here?
We won't know that until the audit's complete, but yes, we are projecting to do that.
And what number are we projecting to put into the fund balance?
I don't feel comfortable saying that because it's all gonna depend on our audit. And anything can happen after the audit. We're not finished paying bills for this year, so, our revenue's pretty much done, but we pay bills through August for prior years. So that's all gonna come off of that number.
Now, we won't get our audit until March of next year.
That's correct.
So we won't know how much money we put back into the fund balance until March of next year?
You probably know prior to that.
Okay,
He presents in March, but you know prior to that.
yeah.
When whoever's here is going to do that journal entry to do that.
Okay, I'm confused on, and we were running on a deficit this whole year are projected to run on a deficit, but we're putting money back, and I'm just trying to understand what that looks like.
Well, we had
The
several staffing
discrep-
changes.
Yeah.
to change that, but
Right,
We had, additional revenue that came in, our interest income went through
Yes.
the roof. So, I mean, a lot of things can happen through the year that make those numbers change.
okay, no, that makes sense. So you think this, we'll say savings of the staffing kind of arrangement that we created from January on, there were some savings there, and the interest on that, was it a CD?
It's a CD, but also interest on, just our general savings and.
Yeah.
Checking accounts.
Okay.
We negotiated with the banks to give us higher interest rates and.
Sorry, this is really my last question. Do you know the amount, what is the exact amount that we're projected to take from the fund balance this year?
What we were projected,
Or what are we going to, yeah, what are you projecting that we will borrow from the fund balance at this point?
so I don't project that we're gonna borrow anything.
Okay,
So I'm confused, I'm sorry.
okay,
Because you asked me how much we were putting in, now you're asking me how much we're taking out. So it's two different things.
right. And I think that's where I'm like a little bit confused, so,
So at the end of the year, after you finish all of your prior year, which we
Mhm.
usually do in the middle of August,
mhm,
we usually finish paying all of our prior year bills so that we can start getting our information and reports ready to send to the auditor to complete our audit.
right,
At that time, you pretty much know if your expenditures are less than your revenues, then that's money that goes into your fund balance
from the previous year.
from the prior year.
Okay. And you're saying for the 24-25 school year, you are not projecting a deficit?
Yes, there is a deficit.
Okay,
in the
that's the
24,
question.
25 school year.
And that number is
It was upwards of like 500,000.
500,000, okay,
Which was cut back from, what's,
It was 900,000.
Okay.
when we did it.
Right.
A little over 900,000.
okay. All right, any other questions, discussion on the budget? Okay. Roll call vote?
Mr. Matson,
Yes.
Mr. Paulus,
yes,
Ms. Stewart, Mr. Townsend,
Mr. Townsend, no. No.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mrs. Knight,
No.
Mr. Luffish,
Yes. I said yes.
I'm sorry,
You said Luffish, didn't you?
yes,
Okay. I said yes.
Mr. Lovelace,
Present.
are you saying yes or no?
Present.
That's
Not
what
saying
she
yes or no.
Are you abstaining?
Yes.
You're abstaining from the vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kutrier?
Yes.
Mr. Duffel, are we allowed to abstain from a vote in the?
There's usually a reason you have to put as far as why you're abstaining. If there's,
Yes.
Like a conflict?
yeah, conflict or something, or else you got to make a decision. You got to stay. Right.
Are we allowed to do that on a budget though? That, I'm not saying that he can't do that. I'm wondering if like a budget, the policy said there's like, has to be certain regulations for it. That's why I'm just wondering.
I can't think of a conflict that would allow him to at this point in time. So my answer would be no.
No.
Five to four, motion carried.
We don't have 9 votes, we have
Oh,
8.
sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3, sorry.
5-3 passes. Okay,
Yes, 5 ayes.
Thank you.
3 nays, sorry.
All right, thank you. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 tax levy resolution as submitted. This is also going to be a roll call vote. Can we have a motion?
so moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
It's a roll
Oh.
call vote.
Go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Paulus,
Yes,
Ms. Stewart, Mr. Townsend,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mrs. Knight,
Yes.
Mr. Leffish,
Yes.
Mr. Lovelace,
Yes.
Mr. Matson,
Yes.
Dr. Kutrier.
Yes. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 Homestead Farmstead Resolution as submitted, presented upon agreement relating to millage rates. This is also a roll call vote.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Ettinger?
Ms. Stewart? Mr. Townsend?
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Leppish?
Yes.
Mr. Lovelace?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yes.
Dr. Kuchen?
Yes. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 agreement with Marikey as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I add to that? We did amend up when I met with the director down there. Previously, our school nurse was going down to cover them, leaving our building uncovered multiple times a week. It was going down there. Our new agreement does not have that in it. They were hiring a traveling nurse to be able to cover that anymore, so they won't be using our nurses.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 family counseling / CAP participation agreement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 Marikey participation agreement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 2024 summer feeding program retroactively as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 school-based access program agreement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the PA school-based access system max capture data entry agreement as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the flexible spending account reinstatement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the issuance of a broker of record letter to Rashini Agency and approve the 24-25 insurance policies as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the independent contractor agreement with Chatham University as submitted.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the, Ms. Ettinger, this is blank here, I don't know, it just says blank month.
Yeah, because we weren't sure.
So-
That's the one where-
I believe it's going to be a 24-month,
Okay,
and then it would be whatever company you guys are choosing.
oh,
We
That's the one for
finally
tomorrow.
finished, choose one between the two.
yeah.
We need to do a motion on that to give us the ability to choose that number once we see between Constellation and, what is it?
NG.
NG.
Could we just say a motion is needed to approve the 24-month electric service agreement between Leechburg Area School District and the lower of the two, or?
Does that work?
Yeah, that would work. You're also putting it to the approval of the school solicitor, so that anything that we.
Subject to final review, okay.
Yeah, we can always make changes to what we need.
So how do you want me to fill in that blank? What would you like me to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Responsible provider.
Okay. All right, let's try this again. A motion is needed to approve the 24-month electric service agreement between Leechburg Area School District and the lowest responsible provider, subject to final review and approval of the Leechburg School District solicitor.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to hire Dodaro, Matta, and Canvas, PC, as the district solicitor as per the contract submitted.
Can we get a roll call?
We have to have a second first.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion?
Have a roll call vote for this, please?
Sure. Is there any discussion first? Roll call, please, Ms. Ettinger.
Mr. Thompson?
I'm sorry, what's the motion again? I had trouble hearing.
It's the motion for the district solicitor.
Retaining gear.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
No.
Mr. Lepish?
Yes.
Mr. Lovelace?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart? Dr. Kutriak?
Yes. Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 Clillian Heights service agreement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the Comcast business agreement for the football stadium as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve Go Secure Inc. quotation as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 AIU Title III Consortium MOU as submitted.
Motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the ESY agreement with the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission Student Assistance Program Agreement as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 Butler County Head Start MOU as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 Pre-K Counts Partnership Agreement as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 3-year service agreement with Questec as submitted.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
I was just thinking about what we talked about with
Okay.
this, sorry.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the May 2024 budget transfers as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to acknowledge receipt of the following financial reports and to ratify/approve the expenditures expressly set forth therein. The Treasurer's Report, cash receipts, general fund revenue detail, general fund expenditure detail, check detail report, capital reserve revenue report, capital reserve expenditure report, construction fund 39 revenue, construction fund 39 expenditures, food service revenue, and food service expenditures. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the following use of facilities requests as submitted. High School Chorus Auditorium, Armstrong County Choir Festival, November 13th and November 14th, 2024. The High School Chorus use of the auditorium, Armstrong County Junior County Choir, February 12th, 2025. The Music Department, band room, choir room, auditorium, and cafeteria for the 24-25 concerts, December 5th, 12th, and 18th of 2024 with a snow date of December 19th, as well as May 8th, 15th, 20th, and 22nd of 2025. The senior class football graduation practice and ceremony, June 4th and 5th, 2025. The senior class auditorium graduation practice and ceremony, June 4th and 5th, 2025. And the kindergarten friendship trail, Baker Building and Elementary, August 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you for planning these so far in advance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the disposal of equipment, which are the sociology textbooks as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want everyone to know it's the old sociology textbooks. When I was in school 4 years ago, we had sociology class. These are the 1994 textbooks, not the newest version of the textbooks. Thanks.
Yeah, if you're a graduate, don't call it old.
Sorry.
I'm just
Sorry.
kidding. Your mother did too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 elementary handbook as submitted.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I just add to that, and this will go to public, it'll come out in the meeting, that our new start time for the elementary will be 8:30, to 50 instead of 8 to 10, 8:30. And the reason for that is to give time for the teachers for professional development planning in the middle. We bumped it back and forth over the last 4 or 5 years because we were really rushed and we didn't have time. Regulated 8, we were running to duties for that part, so this will give us time for the first half hour to work this through. And it'll obviously come out well in advance when that has any updates coming up.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the 24-25 middle and high school handbook as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the bus driver and bus driver substitute list as submitted.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the bus schedule changes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve the 23-24 school term satisfactory rating for the acting superintendent of schools, Dr. David Keebler. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to accept Laura Wozniak, Director of Treasury Services at Next Tier Bank, as the 24-25 Leechburg Area School Board Treasurer.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the second reading of Policy 300, Hire the Best, as submitted. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the second reading of Policy 303, Employment of Family Members, as submitted. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. A motion is needed to approve Jamie Spearing as the Board Secretary effective July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Spearing. A motion is needed to approve the amendment to policy number 237 as submitted.
So moved.
Discussion?
If I could, do you want me to add to that?
Sure.
Policy amendments to 237 is our electronic devices, and meeting with the new administrative team, we're making changes so that it's not a free-for-all with electronic devices in the school, whether it's in the building or in the cafeteria with that. We will still allow them for health, safety, emergency reasons, any other IEP or 504, classroom instructional related activities under the supervision of the classroom teacher, or other reasons deemed appropriate by the building principal. We're trying to make that change, talking with security, talking with the new principals, as well as talking with Mr. Roger in the past. 95% of our issues over the course of this past school year were related to phones being used in school. So we're making that amendment to this policy.
What's the disciplinary action if they're caught with their cell phones, since you have that policy?
First, it goes to the office. That's in the handbook, but it will progress as to where it goes with that. They're able to get it back. And honestly, as we've talked about this isn't going to be at the beginning. They're going to have to learn. They've been able to do that. It's our job to work with them on that. But they can't be free for all walking down the hallway, video and stuff, and making fools of themselves with phones on that. So that will be the first change that we're trying to address here.
So am I correct that the buses are included in that?
The bus is included on that, and it would come to the drivers to let us know. And honestly, I don't think, as we've always said, that if they're sitting in the bus not causing harm with it, I don't think they're going to be up. But if they're videoing, doing stuff with that, it's on there. But it will be at the bus driver's discretion. We will work with the bus drivers just to make sure they're on the same page with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion is needed to approve the Leechburg Area School District Comprehensive Plan as submitted.
So moved.
Discussion?
Thank you to everybody involved. I know it was a long, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months? I know. So I appreciate your dedication to it.
Thank you. And again, thank you to everybody. When this is done and it's done right, it can be a very powerful tool and a nice way to achieve consensus. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. So yes, thank you to everybody. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No. Yes.
Just
Dr.
do a
Keebler's
quick
gonna give
update. I
us
was
an
left off on here. I'm not sure where it went. It was on there before. But just wanted to update the community on that. Today, there was a STEB board meeting out in Harrisburg. I attended it online with that. They did accept our appeals from 2022 as well as this upcoming year. We haven't started looking at the 23 data yet for it, but what I can say, and as I've shared before, for instance, on these appeals, the 2022, we had the sale of Lingro Farms for $2 million, close to $2 million. It was not included on that because it wasn't on the public market with that. So we are appealing. It was on other parts. It was in the paper. Don't know if we'll get it, but that's our job as we go forth. Another one that sold down on Godfrey that had a boat dock with it that they kicked out and didn't count it. Those were 2 of the 7 that we are challenging as part of the 2022 school year. And then we will review the new data that came in on the market sales from the past year. And if there's anything that's off with that, we will file that appeal. It will come up, I believe, September's when that goes through at that meeting with STEB, but I will keep that updated as we go through with that. We received our PAYS, which is the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. They sent us a great summary, and I'd never seen this before. It come out today. It's a pretty good book. It's from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. I'm going to try to get the packet uploaded so that we can put it on our website. It just talks a lot about protection from substance abuse and delinquent behaviors by children and youth in the community. And it's a pretty good resource looking at. They took some surveys from us and they put it together for us. So I think it should be something that the public's able to view as we move forward. As I mentioned earlier, Lenape had put the parts through of new options, new buildings with that. They will come down and do a presentation in September. Our comp plan, really the focus on that, as I said before, and some of these things come out, it's really looking at curriculum, resources, interventions on that, and making sure that we're training our teachers to be as trained as they can be with the best practices. Are we using the most appropriate resources, looking at data, so that we're hitting the needs of those students? We did submit our DECD grant in the amount of $4.6 million. That grant will not be through either July or September, I was told this morning. We put in there for new roofs to cover the entire roofs and replace even the ones that were done recently to get a 30-year warranty. It had all new boilers for this building over here where the classrooms are, to finish up the HVAC work that was started in 2017, as well as new windows that were not replaced in the last one. We did all ground level windows the last time. We have 328 windows that were not replaced. A lot of them are still wooden. They're falling apart with that. All of those 4 items are going to be something we're going to have to address as a district in the very near future, making plans. So we're hopeful that this will be a game changer for us on what we can do with that. But we still have to plan ahead whether we get it or not. Those are things that we'll need addressed with that. Our safety grant update, back in March, we received $128,000 as a safety grant. We are replacing every door handle and rekeying every door in the district. It was part of the safety plan by the state to hit stage or criteria level 1 to make sure we have that. This will make sure we're secure. We know who has master keys, who has keys to get in with that. It's just a big safety procedure. Right now, there are keys everywhere. We make keys every week, and it has to stop. So we want to have accountability with that to try to work with who has keys, who don't. Also working with the teachers classrooms will all have the same key. So if they're walking down the hallway and we went into a lockdown, they wouldn't be locked out of anywhere. They would have a key to get in, and they're lockable from the inside as well. So it's a big piece that now we're keeping doors because you had to go outside to lock your doors. The doors will be able to be locked from the inside. And finally, there's a couple thank yous here I want to put out. First off, with Mr. Rogers for his work over the last 7 years as the high school principal. He's going back into the classroom starting in August. And Mrs. Ettinger, I'd like to thank you for everything you've done for the district and for your time here. It's been a pleasure working with you. I wish you well in your future endeavors with that. And as we turn the page of the school year, I look forward to having that new page started. Next week, Mr. Vargo will be starting at the high school. Mr. Komar will now take over his appointment as elementary principal, special ed director, and I'll get to work with both of them. So I look forward to having the new team in place starting next week and really building on the community of what we can do here.
Thank you both.
Our next combined agenda setting and regular board meeting will be held July 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Leechburg High School Library. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:28.